welcome to Leading Entrepreneurs of the World. I am Stelios Hatzakis, CEO of One Business World. Leading Entrepreneurs of the World features entrepreneurs, founders, and business leaders presenting on cutting-edge topics and the latest industry developments. Today, we're very pleased to welcome leading entrepreneur David Dorfman. David is a proven business leader with over 18 years of international business and development experience across disciplines. He has served as a strategic advisor to many startup founders and teams and has helped raise $60 million plus in funding for early stage ventures, technology transfer and licensing, laboratory research, capital investment, scholarship, and research programs. At Sesh, David and his team built technologies that aid communication and increase performance using neuroscience and lifelong learning practices. As a groundbreaking product solution of Sesh, Empath is an AI that analyzes emotions in video using machine learning, situational and desired outcome context, psychographics, and facial and viscera motor expressions to predict outcomes and deliver personalized neuroscience-based training. David will be speaking with us today about empathy in AI. David, thank you so much for joining us to speak more about this very interesting topic. We're very excited to have you and hear more about yours and your team's efforts to create technologies that aid communication and increase performance across domains.
All right, thank you, Stelios. I really appreciate you having me here. It's really my pleasure, and thank you again. It's good to be here. And I hope that you're feeling okay today. I hope everyone out there might be watching is feeling well and is doing well in this new year. So as Stelios, as you mentioned, we're a lifelong learning company here at Sesh, and we use artificial intelligence and educational neuroscience to improve communication and augment people intelligence. That's a lot of words, but it's really about helping people communicate better, right? And at the basis of communication is empathy. The more we can empathize with other people, the more we can understand potentially their point of view or where they're coming from, and the better we can discuss topics, we can argue, we can convince each other. And even if we in the end disagree, the more we can understand each other, the more effective that communication can be. So that's really the thrust of what drives us is to help people do that. And as you mentioned, we formed Sesh to increase performance and enhance culture in organizations. And we do it by accelerating crucial skills in individuals. Things like learning to make better decisions, increasing clarity in communication, generating trust, inspiring through leadership, spotting bullshit faster, and presenting effectively, being able to convince through that. So Empath, our premier AI product, it helps us accelerate this kind of personalized skill development at scale. And it allows us to measure success over time and build a community of lifelong learners. And we do it by using state of mind analysis through video sessions. So you can take any video and upload it to our platform. Soon it will be auto-ingested through Zoom. And we analyze it and give you deep analytics around state of mind, around filler words, around positive and negative speech. And through those analytics, we create recommended personalized micro-training. So I'm going to show you what that's about in just a minute. But I wanted to talk about first why we started this and how we came to it. So my co-founder and I, Corey J., we had both in our careers been doing various business activities. My co-founder, Corey, he'd been doing a lot of technology development at Fortune 500s, working with teams, coaching agile development practices to build state-of-the-art technology, leading edge technology at big corporations. He also had ran a startup studio for a number of years here in LA. And I was running business development for a large university, research university. And as part of that, I had an accelerator program working with early stage entrepreneurs. And we both saw that over and over again, that the hard skills are easy and that the soft skills are really hard. And what that means is, we would run into, or we'd be working with teams that had a lot of technical talent, or a lot of, real scientific talent, but getting them to work together in an effective, agile, clear, trustworthy way was very difficult because the soft skills are never really taught in school, right? And these are the things that actually make teams go, right? And really produce productivity. And it's tough if you don't find the right mentor along the way, or you don't get lucky and have the right sort of framework within your school environment when you were younger. Those soft skills can be lost, right? And to learn them in the workplace is really difficult on the fly. And so when we had that insight sort of together, Corey and I were working on my accelerator program for a number of years. He would help me build the program for it and deliver the content. And that's where we had our kind of aha moment that, wow, if we could create a technology that could impart these soft skills at scale, then we could unleash productivity and make a big impact in a small way, in our own way, on the world. So that's where we got the initial impetus to create Sesh and to build Empath. So with that said, I wanted to show you what we're doing, which is always the best. So I'm going to open up our platform here. So here's our platform. Right now, we're just going to market. We have some of our first customers joining us in the last few weeks. We've been running in a stealth alpha for a number of months this past year to develop the product and to refine it and to keep building more features. And so you can see this is our beta. And this is a video session of a saleswoman, Sally, and her prospect, Bill. And they uploaded this video, and you can see once the video is uploaded, you start to get these state of mind bubbles, right? Now, these are derived through video analysis, looking at contextual data. So part of it is the facial and viscera motor expressions that are happening in the person and in the body. Part of it is we tag the situation, right? So this is a sales call. And we can see, I'll just go down here, I'll scroll down. We can see that we have this little situation outcome section. It was tagged as a sales meeting in a short cycle. And based on that situation, we have a bunch of predetermined outcomes. Did they close the sale after the call? In this case, no, Sally did not. Did it advance in the pipeline? No, it didn't. Doesn't sound like this call went very well. And closed the sale during the call? Nope, not this time. And did it lose the sale? Yes, they actually lost the sale in this call. And then you have a little Likert scale. You can rate how well the call went. But in this case, Sally wants to understand, well, what happened? Why did I lose the call? What was going on here? And so the analytics starts to give some insight, right? You can see, let's see, there was some confusion in the call. And if you click on any of the state of minds, you can quickly go to those points, right? In the video and see what's going on. So there's a little confusion on both sides. And let's see, oh, there's some anger. That's not a good emotion to have in a sales call. And let's see, so Bill here, he flashed a little bit of anger at some of the points. So it's interesting insight, right? It doesn't tell us anything definitive, right? But it gives us some real insight into it. And then you can go through the call and see in the transcript what might have been said at those moments and what was going on. With this information, though, what happens is the system identifies that, okay, Sally here lost the call. She created some state of minds that might have led to that. And it then auto-generates a recommended micro-training to help improve her performance for the next call. Right? So I'm going to show you what that micro-training looks like. And what happens is our system kicks out an email to Sally saying, hey, based on that video session, we think that you might benefit from having a little micro training around what drives us to succeed as a salesperson, right? And then you go through this little virtual training, and it's about a 3-minute process, and it's a little chat flow. So I'll just take you through a few questions. You hit the start button, and it asks you, in this case, Jordan, Hayun, and Robin all work in sales, and they have different goals. Who is most likely to succeed? And it gives you three options. Jordan, A, wants to close 5 sales a week. That sounds aggressive, maybe, but interesting. Hayun wants to put a down payment on a house in 2 years. Or C, Robin just wants to close this one big account today. Well, a lot of sales folks I know, they always choose C. Robin says, I reached my goal of closing that one deal and then had nothing left to look forward to. Try again. So that might have been not the correct answer. So we go back and we look at the other two. And in this case, okay, let's do something a bit more reasonable and pick B. Hayun says, yes, I'm working so hard to get my house deposit, and each week I feel I'm closer. Great. So then you move on to the next scenario. And again, this takes about 3 minutes, but what this little micro training is about what it takes to succeed and what it takes to give a sales rep the idea of purpose in setting goals, right? So a lot of times when you're doing short cycle sales, you need to have reasonable short, medium, and long-term goals, because that keeps you motivated, right? It keeps you focused. And it gives you purpose through the selling process, right? If you want to close too much too fast and you don't do it, you can get discouraged. If you want to do something too far out and too aggressive, it might be not motivating enough. And so it's all about helping you understand that. And when you complete these micro trainings, the information comes back to your dashboard in our platform, and you start to build training over time. Right? Completed training over time. And we're working to start to gamify that system. So it's really a great way to use your own video calls, right? In this age of COVID, to help you identify aspects of how you're working that could be improved, and then doing those little micro trainings when it's convenient for you, and then seeing your progress over time, because the system can then measure how you improve in your actual performance on your next video call. All right, so I just want to show you, well, you know what? Yeah, let me take you through a few slides to better illustrate that. So when I talk to you about training, right, and these micro trainings, it's really about creating these pathways to success, right? And they help you hone the most relevant skills in the workplace today, right? And these are some of the broader topics, right? Things like optimize your decision making, your opportunities, your learning, your time, break your bad habits, discover your creativity. Really, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, key skills that often are overlooked in our education experience, but are really key to making effective teams and creating market-leading companies. So what's in the near future for Sesh and for Empath, rather? So what I just showed you, the demo, that was our MVP, and we're in a continuous deployment cycle in our technology build. So we're constantly releasing features and improving, and the platform is going to start to have some really cool features around this micro training integrated. Things like seeing the paths at a glance, right? So not only are you going to be able to look at those sessions, you're going to be able to start seeing all the different paths of training that your team is engaged in, right? And then you can sort and filter by who on your team, right, is in these video sessions, and it can give you this kind of overall data view analytics around how folks are doing on these pathways, right? So optimize your learning, remembering complex ideas, 3 out of 3 were completed, 3 out of 3 of those trainings. We're on an improving, curve on remembering new concepts. That's great, but we can see we've got some work to do still on reaching out and some other areas like breaking your bad habits. So starting with yes and measuring your goals. So it just gives you this interesting analytic view around your training paths. And then you can always click and explore a single path of training, right? And go deeper and see underneath the path, what are the skills that are being learned, right? And who's actually engaging with it, right? So you can see here that David Dorfman, I think this guy, that I had 32 instances of negative speech detected this past month, and my manager noted it 4 times when reviewing my sessions. But you know what? I'm not gonna take more training because because I just want to be a little funny. But no, it's really powerful in that sense that you can start to really see where those key areas based on your actual performance that you could use to improve. Right? And then of course, as I demoed before, you'll be able to analyze the individual meetings in a deeper way. So we're incorporating state of mind into the transcript, being able to highlight and annotate and download the transcript. So really getting deeper on your ability to use that textual data to your benefit. Giving you under other highlight features like total talk time, right? How many people, who's talking the most in the video, right? It's often that 80-20 rule, right? If you're selling, it's better if you get the other person to talk 80% of the time and just ask those good questions. And just creating a more navigable interface with this individual meeting analyzation. And then a really key feature for us is aggregate data analysis, right? So being able to select multiple sessions, right? Multiple video sessions, and which in any different set of categories, right? It could be, I want to look at sessions that are all related to my immediate team on the marketing side, or I want to look company wide at all the sessions, or I want to look at just these few people within the company, and then it will pull up those sessions and give you the aggregate data around just those sessions. So things like, you know, filler words. How many times were filler words used in the session? And you can see each individual one and get the count. You can see total talk time for all the folks. I mean, me and my co-founder, Corey, obviously love talking. And then you can see overall positivity and negativity in terms of speech selection, right? So there are folks sometimes lean on words that have more positive connotation and sometimes more negative. And it's good to kind of see that in an aggregate. So a lot of great ways to see different information in the system that's highly relevant, right? And we've found over and over with the products that are in the market right now, they give you a lot of analytics, a lot of graphs, a lot of charts, but it's hard to, you know, a lot of times you don't even know what they're for, right? And so in this case, we're giving you analytics that are easy to understand, give you really good highlights, things that will help you improve immediately. And then of course, recommended micro training, so you actually have an action to follow up. And then tracking that progress over time is a real key differentiator. So with that said, I want to talk just for a few minutes about why, you know, Empath is valuable to me, and address some of the use cases in the application, and then talk a little bit about why we're different than other sentiment analysis tools in the market. So for me, personally, self-awareness and self-knowledge has always been the key to my personal and professional growth and success, right? And I commonly ask people, do you remember the first time that you heard your voice recorded on audio tape? If you were, you know, a kid of the 80s and 90s like myself, or the first time you saw yourself on video? And a lot of people, they always give me that kind of sheepish look, because I felt the same way. It was like mortifying. You know, it must have been, I don't know, maybe I was 10, 11 years old, and you go, whoa, that's how people hear me. That's how people see me, right? And it gives you that first moment of real self realization, and it's an opportunity for growth. And so that's the way we view Empath, as an ability for us to get more confidence doing the thing that we always do, right? All humans are always opening their eyes, looking at the world, looking at other people, and trying to understand what that person might be thinking or feeling, right? Because that's what helps them know, is this a threat? Is it a friendly encounter? Is this, you know, someone that's going to become a friend, or do I need to be weary? How do I engage in this conversation and get the best of it for both of us? And so Empath is here to add a lot of confidence to that and give you more confidence, especially in video environments, where we now, because of COVID, all adopted video communication as a standard. but we lose all those nonverbal cues, which really aided us in the real world to do this somewhat well, right? And now Empath helps you do it extremely well in a digital space. So that was really the impetus for me, and everyone else on the team has their own their own story of why self-knowledge, why self-realization is such a key for effective communication. But that's what really drives us. So in terms of going back to the business, in terms of use cases, we found through a lot of testing and through our alpha process that this technology right now is most effective for folks who are training and coaching, right? And specifically sales teams, right? So whether it's a sales coach or a trainer or a sales manager who's working with a group of sales reps and needs to, and wants to train them and keep them engaged and motivated and have clear goals and be able to do sales effectively, this tool is highly effective for them. The other is for business coaches, right? Folks who are doing executive coaching or coaching for team wellness or executive wellness. This is a great product for them to do it in a way that you can quantify, right? Start to quantify the output of the coaching experience, right? And for a lot of coaches, their whole world got pushed from in real life to digital overnight with COVID, and there is no dedicated software platform for them. So now we have Empath, which answers that, and it allows them to train and coach at scale, right? And really be able to monitor progress at scale, and to be able to do this more effectively with more people. The other is, for just remote teams and tracking team wellness, right? Psychological safety among employees is the leading indicator of a productive team. And keeping folks psychologically safe in this COVID world, in the new digital space, is trickier, right? Without all the in-person opportunities. But Empath allows you to do this in a way that's fun, that's engaging, that allows you to do some training as a part of it, right? And keep your team focused and feeling psychologically safe. So with that said, I wanted to just talk briefly about about the current state of sentiment analysis and why Empath is so different, right? So the science behind emotion, the affective sciences, has changed quite a bit in the last 10 years. And there's been a lot of research pioneered by folks like Professor Lisa Feldman Barrett and others that have used neuroscience to unlock the key to really understanding emotions, right? And it used to be that emotions were thought of as sort of a fixed state inside of people, right? Kind of hardwired. And all you had to do was look at someone's facial expressions and you'd be able to determine what they were feeling, right? What they were thinking. Now, the neuroscience has shown us that that was wrong, right? Or at least an extremely limited view, right? And what's now well understood is that context is the key to understanding emotions, right? And that emotions are not a fixed state inside of a person, but they're actually constructs in our brain. And from those constructs, we make predictions, right? So our brain works very much like, almost like an AI, right? In that it makes a prediction of what it thinks it's going to feel based on constructs it's created from previous experiences. So it has its own contextual kind of web of experiences in the memory, and it makes a prediction from that in the moment that you're in, and then it uses the external stimulus or external data to either validate or dismiss what the prediction is, right? And it's for us, that was an amazing breakthrough to see and understand that. And when we looked at the current state sentiment analysis in the market, and these are also the products that are offered by kind of the big five, among other smaller startups that have been out for a longer period of time, they use this more conventional, right, way of trying to determine sentiment. So in video, they take a still image, right? So they break a video down to 30 frames per second and look at each frame as if it's a still image, and then determine a sentiment based on the facial expressions in that image, right? As it correlates to a database of a large grouping of other pictures. So we know that that was wrong, right? And we knew that in order for us to more accurately and with more confidence predict state of mind, we needed contextual data, right? And so um, we look at context across a few categories. One is the first one we started with was time. So instead of looking at a fixed image, right, we actually look over time in video and look at state of mind that has the highest degree of correlation and confidence through a set time period, right, and then display that, right? And so it's no longer looking at a single frame. We're looking at large pixelated data sets over time in video. And this was a big deal and enabled us to file our first patent around that technology. And then we look at, as I showed in the demo, situational context, right? Where is this taking place? Where is this call taking place? Is it in, is it a business call? Is it a sales meeting? Is it an internal team training? Is it a social gathering? Is it an executive coaching session? And those situations are all going to have different effects on the way we perceive and the way we interpret state of mind. And then, of course, there's kind of these larger categories of context, culture, right? So we've collected a 6-dimensional data set around different cultures' expressiveness and their valence and arousal rates across cultures. That gives us some interesting data point to say that if you're in this culture, you might exhibit more an expressive nature in your valence of your emotion than if you were in this culture. And then there's the personal context, right? The psychographic profile of the folks that are in the session itself. What's their personality? How might that impact how they would predict and interpret state of mind? And then, of course, the facial and viscera motor expressions of the body, right? And how that plays a role. And so if you look across all of that context, then you can start to create a more accurate prediction of state of mind. And so it's a big differentiator. We haven't found anyone else in the market that's taking that approach because the science, the breakthroughs in the affective sciences and in the neuroscience behind emotions are relatively new. And it's just a different way to build an AI. And then the third part of how we're different than what's in the market is we actually take a unified approach to understanding state of mind. So what that means is we started with video because video is the toughest one to crack. And so we thought, you know what, let's go with the hardest one first. But now we have an incredible data scientist join the team that's working on audio. So looking at the wave files that are coming in and how that matches up against the video analysis. And then, of course, we're doing a lot of work on text, right? On natural language processing, on the transcription. And what that gives us is, 3 senses, multiple levels of context and 3 senses to start interpreting these states at a more accurate and more subtle and more nuanced level. And there's no one else in the market that's taking that unified approach currently. And it gives us a big advantage, especially if you think that, in video, you can actually see when people react, right? In audio, you can hear the tone and the frequency in which someone is speaking. And in the text, you can understand the word choices and the heuristics behind the words that are being used. And it really gives you deep people intelligence, which can help us just, as we keep saying, communicate much more effectively in this new digital COVID world. And then just one last note on what the future holds for Empath. And this would be the 4th big differentiator, is in the near future, we're going to be moving to real-time analysis with our platform, right? So right now it's, you do your sessions, you do your video calls, they're uploaded or ingested into our platform, and the analysis comes after. But soon we're going to be deploying this in real time in your calls, or in an augmented reality or virtual reality. And it's the use cases, could be extremely interesting. So I'll leave it at that and see if there's any questions at this time. Thank you.
David, thank you very much for the very detailed presentation of Empath, and for the sharing with us all these great insights regarding this very innovative tool. Especially in today's video dependent world, and not only, since, as you said, self-knowledge and self-awareness are very important. Empath does appear to be a great tool for accelerating personalized skill development. I'm also trying to get my video running. I'm not so sure if it is, but would you see, so we use Empath internally within an organization as a micro training process for skill development. That could be led by HR, that could be led by the sales department. At the same time, as you said, business coaches can use Empath with their clients for training. Do you see at some point Empath being used for companies as they are communicating with their clients, maybe as an add-on to a video enabler like Zoom or Teams, or as an independent tool running simultaneously with a video enabler, so that the representative of the one company can understand better how they appear to be in front of, through the video session, their potential business partner. Do you see it as being used in that fashion?
Absolutely. So, a big thing for us is consent, right? And making sure that these are consensual environments. And so the key for us is the more people using it, right? Whether it's an external call or an internal call, like internally within a company, within teams, or externally between one company and another, this enhances your confidence to communicate better, right? And so if both parties are able to use it, it makes for a better experience. And so anytime Empath is used by any of our customers, there's a clear consent disclaimer that's embedded in the invite. And we're moving to a point where we're going to have a Zoom plugin in the next few months that would auto enable that recording and analysis of your calls, right? And so, yes, it's really a tool that the more folks are using it, the better the communication will be within the meeting.
David, now with COVID, with COVID-19, and with digital communication at the forefront of 2020, do you feel that how has this changed the dynamic and the increased dependence on video communication? How has that impacted your mission to strengthen the technology even more?
Yeah, look, for us, it was an incredible year this last year. An extremely difficult and challenging year in many ways, as it has been for many folks. And at the same time, the trends that we saw as we set out to build Sesh and Empath in middle of 2019. And we actually were spending quite a bit of time collecting a proprietary data set around state of mind for quite a long time before COVID, right? For about a year. We were running learning and training sessions that we were recording in 360 video. And those training sessions, that video data was the way we were starting to build and train Empath. And so when COVID came, we saw a trend moving towards video adoption. I mean, Zoom was already in the market and doing pretty well. We saw this trend. But when COVID came, all of a sudden, what we thought was going to happen over the next, 3 years happened in 3 weeks, right? And mass adoption of video. So it completely reprioritized our approach to the product, right? So we had to stop all of our proprietary data collection because we couldn't run live learning and training sessions anymore. And the other part was we understood, okay, the whole world now is on video, and folks are going to need tools and platforms to actually make this experience, more engaging and more productive, right? I mean, it's the idea that we can spend hours and hours a day on Zoom or Teams or Blue Jeans or others and just be looking at each other through a screen. It's not enough, right? And we always understood that. So it's, for us, it just reprioritized how we were going to push the product forward, and it gave us a global test market.
Do you see Empath being also used by a user, a single user who wants to be able to improve their skill set and understand how they communicate, what they could do better? So organizations can use it. With external clients, we are going to get there to that point. Do you feel that, let's say myself or someone, anybody, any individual might be able to engage and empath for themselves? And how easily would they be able to do that?
Yeah. So right now we have a beta going where we have a wait list. So if folks are interested in trying it, interested in using it, I would go to getempath.com, sign up for the wait list. And we've just started inviting people in small groups off that wait list to subscribe. And so we have a whole subscription system built in that's starting at as little as $29 a month. You can start analyzing, up to 6 meetings a month for $29. It's all based on minutes. And if you're a large organization, we can create custom solutions for you. But we have a subscription tier starting at $29 a month, going up to $400, $19 a month. And so anyone can use it, right? And we think this is a tool that everyone should be using.
And I would agree with you. I would say that everybody should be using Empath, and you make it so easy for everybody to be able to use it. Well, David, by the way, you did say that this presentation is also going to be uploaded on the Empath program and analyzed. So we would be expecting to see that.
You got it.
David, thank you very much again for your time and for your presentation and for your participation at the Leading Entrepreneurs of the World series. Congratulations to you and your team for having developed such an innovative and disruptive technology and a holistic solution, enabling for AI to use EQ to make communication and performance better and more efficient. Thank you, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you, Stelios. Take care.
Thank you, David.